Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. It is not often that one comes across a friend who is now suddenly trying to enter the political arena. My good friend Savio Rodrigues is contesting from the Velim constituency for the Goa Assembly. And viewers, many of you have heard Savio on this channel before or elsewhere. I would really request all of you to like this video because that way we can show our support, our wholehearted support to Savio, the candidate. Savio, namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel.
Namaste, Shri, and thank you for having me on your program once again.
So, Savio, you've been having a meteoric rise as a journalist, and I have to say this thing because that was not your occupation. You've landed into this, and then you've been seeing a very, very fast rise, and I congratulate you because it's not easy being a journalist these days, and you've done a fantastic job there. And now you're taking another big step in life, that is to enter politics to serve the country. I mean, state first, and then of course the country. Because I see a lot of things. You can go far, Savio. But let's first hear from you. How did you decide that you wanted to A, enter politics, and then B, contest election, and C, Velim?
Shri, one of the most instrumental inspirations in my life, the person who was responsible for educating me, inspiring me, and filling me with this nationalistic zeal was the late Mr. Manohar Parrikar. Now, I had the good fortune of having worked with him on several interactions, several stories, several ideas together. And I've always realized that it is important for us as citizens of our state, of our country, people of our state and our constituency to contribute in whatever best way that we can towards nation building. So while I come from a family that is highly patriotic and very, very strong in their belief for India, the stirring of the nationalistic spirit in me, the stirring of the need to contribute towards nation building was done by the late Mr. Manohar Parrikar. Now, my foray into politics with the BJP at this point of time is purely driven by the want and the need to take forward Mr. Parrikar's legacy, to take forward Mr. Parrikar's vision towards a better Goa. And I feel this is the right time for me to contribute to nation building as a politician, but more so as a social reformer, using the political machinery to ensure that the needs of the people of my constituency, my state and my country are addressed to in the best manner possible. So that's the reason why. The second, of course, I was very, very inspired by my meeting with Prime Minister Modi. I've been following for a very long time, even when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. And when we met and when we interacted, I saw in him a person that is really working towards the interest of the people and the nation. So when I was asked what I wanted from the people at the high command in Delhi, what is it that I wanted? I asked for the Velim constituency. I told them that this land, Velim, is the land of my ancestors. Velim is my land, my people. I want to reclaim it so that we can take Velim towards the path of progress that it so deserves and has lacked over the last several decades.
Now, Savio, walk us through this constituency a little bit. What is the composition of the population? What are their, educational backgrounds? What are the professions they usually, take to? Something that, can identify with our viewers the kind of people that you're going to be interacting with. Because again, Goa gets mistaken for a tourist resort, but there's a lot of industry there. And that is something that people tend to not see because they are there to just have a good time. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about Velim constituency, its history also, because it's important to understand from a historic perspective what a certain constituency is doing.
Well, Velim is one of the most prolific, pristine and tranquil constituencies in south of Goa. It's a part of what is considered to be the Salsett Taluka. Now, Velim, if you go back into history, was a very powerful village republic during the time of the Portuguese and even before that. In fact, the amount of economic activity that happened in Velim was capable of handling the whole of Goa as well as the Lisbon aspects of the Portuguese government at that point of time when they required money. In fact, there's a lot of history that tells you that the village republics, Velim being one of the prominent ones, was really, really very powerful from an economic point of view. Velim over the years, for reasons of people moving out, people looking for better opportunities, people going abroad, people going to other parts of India, people opting for professions that were more seafarers, people who were opting for professions that were limited in terms of law and doctors and various other aspects of it. You had Velim be neglected by political parties over the last several decades. Now, the uniqueness of Velim is not that it requires rapid development. It's not that it requires a whole lot of industry to come in. It's a very agrarian constituency. It's a very agrarian constituency in the sense that the people are educated, number one. The people are forward thinking, number two. The people are also exposed to many parts of the world because they have family members who travel to different parts of the world. Either they're working on ships or they're working abroad or they're working in other parts of India. So an education quotient, from an education quotient point of view, really ranks really high. Now, the only worry about a constituency like Velim, because of the lack of opportunities in the state itself, is people tend to go outside of the Velim constituency and outside of Goa. Now, our endeavor as a focus to Velim is for us to transform Velim back again. Transform Velim on various parameters. Parameters of employment, parameters of education, parameters of healthcare, parameters of infrastructure development, parameters of tourism, parameters of activities that are conducive to Velim as a constituency, which is agrarian, which is green, which is eco-sensitive, to be working with those kinds of concepts to position Velim as a model smart village and constituency, not only in Goa, but the rest of India, and to make it an example of sustainable living and sustainable development across the world. That's the whole focus that I have for Velim, because Velim is one such constituency. The mental composition of the people, the vibrancy of the constituency in terms of the positive vibes within the constituency, makes for Velim to become one of the best examples of how modernity and eco-sensitivity can be coupled together to turn it into a thriving socio-economic constituency.
So let's take a look at the Velim itself. How many languages do you need to know to be able to converse with people, easily? Is it like I'm completely
So
ignorant about this? Yeah.
The composition of the constituents in Velim are 73% are of the Christian faith, 27% are Hindus. You have a considerable population of Muslims as well. They speak Konkani, they speak English, they speak Hindi. There are some sections that there are few population that even speak Gujarati, Kannada, because of people from migrants that live there and have contributed to Goa for many years. So I don't call them migrants, I call them Goans as well. So Velim is a very quiet, pristine constituency, Shreya. It requires, it's that ideal place for, say, somebody who's working on something creative and wants to come out with the next best idea. That's the place he needs to be. He needs to be in Velim, because you'll see green fields, you'll see cows grazing, you will see people, on their cycles or their scooters or even their cars, which has now become a phenomenon. Otherwise, most of them were normally going about in cycles. That is why we want to introduce something like e-cycles over there at various different intra-connectivity makeup of Velim, is to have electric cycles for people to take from here to there, rather than using their petrol bikes and their cars. So there are innovative ideas that you can do within Velim itself. Velim makes it possible as a constituency to be developed into one of the most prolific, environmentally sustainable tourism, other service sector focus constituency, but most of all, agrarian. I'm saying Velie has the potential to develop into one of the best agrarians in terms of organic produce in Goa and in the rest of India. We need to focus on that.
Wonderful. And I know a little bit about Goa, having gone there a few times. So is Velim closer to Vasco or to
Oh no,
Panjim?
it's actually in very close to Margao.
Okay.
Margao is one of the main hubs and commercial city within Salsett itself. Salsett is a taluka that normally doesn't favor the BJP in terms of political patronage. Therefore, a lot of people have been asking me, you're the first BJP Christian candidate to stand in Velie, because before what they used to do was to have an independent candidate supported by the BJP, which is why they won in 2012 when Mr. Parikar was around. However, I believe most importantly that the people of Velie, though it is made and portrayed to show that they are clouded by religious biases, there might exist some of it, but by and large, most people of the Velie constituency are educated. And it's easier to resonate and to reason with an educated population on what is necessary for them to grow as a constituency, what is necessary for them to create and set in terms of foundation for their children and their grandchildren in the years that come ahead. So the plans that we've laid out, as you would have seen in a broad stroke of the manifesto that we have for the Velie
I did.
constituency, is to actually turn it into an example, not only in Goa, but in India and the rest of the world. So I believe the people of Velie will shed the religious biases and look at an individual like me from an intellectual point of view, from an ability to deliver on the ideas and the vision that we need to do for Velie. Velie needs to rise up and reclaim its lost glory as far as Goa, India, and the world is concerned.
Savio, I riffled through your manifesto, and one of the things that's very impressive that comes through is you're trying to be self-sustaining. Velim as a community, you want to try and make sure that it is self-sustaining. You also have dreams for it, or you have a vision for it to make it into a smart city. Now, Goa has come. I think it was Chogam, I think, that turned the tide or something like that, because I have come to Goa in 1983. It was a sleepy state. I'll tell you, it was a sleepy state. But then when I went the next time in 2001, the thing, of course, it was a long gap, but Chogam had happened in between. And suddenly there were, huge roads, wide roads, connectivity was that much faster. And your vision about making it a smart city, about, trying to make Velim like a model constituency for the rest of India, perhaps to look at and follow. Share us a little bit of that thought. How did it occur to you that Velim is an excellent candidate for a smart city?
Well, actually, it's more of a smart village concept, Shreya, not
Yeah.
more,
Okay.
more of a
Understood.
city,
Understood.
right?
Yeah. Understood. Yeah.
I go to Velie every weekend because my home is there. My mother and father lived there. So I spend a lot of time in the weekends roaming around the fields in Velie, sitting at a coffee shop, that is there, sitting at a grocery store, as a postcard store, buying chips, which I normally like to eat, and I hold my packet of chips and probably my Coke, and I walk around the place. The point is, what makes it unique? The uniqueness of Velie is the energy. The uniqueness of Velie is the people. The people of Velie are really spiritual people, and they're also people with a lot of energy. So they condition themselves on the basis of their heart and their mind. So if you resonate with them, and if you are able to put in a spirit of entrepreneurship in them, a spirit of enterprise in them, they can really work and do wonders, because there are many people from Velie who have done very well in the rest parts of the world, not only in Goa, but the rest of the world. For example, one of the ideas that we have, which we've already done the groundwork for, is to ensure that if the women and the unemployed youth are looking at an economic activity while being at home and not necessarily disturbing their current work pattern, we will initiate a cottage based industry where we will provide them with the machinery, we will provide them with the technical know how, and most importantly, when they make the product, we will buy the product back 100%. So on an average, I can look at about 5,000 women from my constituency itself to bring them into this program and roll it out within the next 15 to 30 days. And this I will do irrespective of whether they elect me or not. The point is, can we go beyond giving them subsidies and freebies? I do not want the people of Veli. The people of Veli were people with pride, people who worked day and night in the fields and in other professions to earn their living. They never wanted somebody to put free money into their bank accounts. I want to teach them to fish again. I want to teach them how to be self-empowered. So today, with the schemes that we have, with the plans that we have, we will ensure that every single woman in Veli, every single youth in Veli, and every single man in Veli will not be unemployed. He will either be employed somewhere or he will be within an enterprise. We are even setting up a startup fund only for people within the Veli constituency, because I believe Veli is just the right constituency, just the right location for bustling ideas of creativity for startups. So I will definitely set up an incubation center there, no matter how small it is. We will go ahead setting up an incubation center, setting up a possibility for young talent from Veli and other parts of Goa and India to come and actually train in Veli to turn it into a very subtle yet effective startup hub without the shusha that's required. You see, creativity requires calmness, and that's what Veli is all about. And that's what Goa is also all about. So my people, they just need to be guided. My people need to be empowered. My people need to be inspired. My people need to know that there is somebody standing with them by their side, telling them that let's move forward, let's go ahead, let's take Veli ahead, let's transform Veli. For example, the garbage issue, one of the parts of my manifesto is to not get people to just take this issue of garbage and Swachh Bharat lightly. The program we have, the enterprise that we are initiating, is to incentivize garbage collection. Therefore, I'm willing to set up an initiative called Pay for Garbage, which we were to do in another part of the country, but because of COVID, we could not put it together. We're going to introduce it in Veli and ensure that the dry garbage, which is papers, plastics, bottles, all get bought from people so that we employ them, so that we give them chance to earn revenue, so that we turn every enterprise into a profit-making enterprise, so that people within the constituency need to be self-sufficient. From bringing technology for agrarian growth, bringing startup ideas that will help our farmers and our people in the agrarian society to actually make better produce, that's really our future. I want to set up a training academy, and I will set up a training academy on AI and robotics. I'll even set up a lab in the constituency in one of the schools, which I'm talking to. We want people who are IAS and IFS to come out of the Veli constituency so that they contribute towards bureaucracy and to nation building. We want research and development within the agricultural sector to be the thrust of education in the Veli constituency, because it's a great place for agriculture. And most importantly, we want to reshape the tourism focus of Veli. And one of the ways that we're going to do it, Sri, is I'm going to ensure that the dilapidated houses that are made available to us by the people of the constituencies who are living abroad or who have spare houses, we will take them, we will renovate them, we will make them up to international standards, and we will create a unique product of Velim homestays that will be used and marketed globally for people to come and experience the hospitality of the people of Veli. We will turn the rivers in Veli, which are the most beautiful aspects of Veli, into ability where people, the locals and the tourists, can be able to enjoy the tranquility of cruising on the river without the pollution that normally comes with river-based vehicles. So we want to keep it sustainable. We want to keep ecology intact, and we want to do infrastructure necessary for constituency in order to boost enterprise.
Teach them how to fish. That says a lot. And instead of giving them fish, and you left out that part, but I'm sure our viewers understood that. Savio, the last few years have not been kind to any tourism locale because of COVID. How has that impacted the state of Goa? And are you still a revenue surplus state? I'm not even sure about the finances of Goa. So you'll have to set me straight on that one. Let's talk a little bit about the economy of Goa, the economics, and where do you think you'll be able to acquire the funding to realize your dreams?
The economic situation in Goa, because of COVID, was a bit of a dampener, to be honest. But it was a dampener all over the world.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Goa was no exception. But of course, tourism is one of the mainstays of Goa, and anything that affects tourism globally affects the influx of tourists to Goa. But many people, when lockdown was withdrawn, came back with what I call revenge tourism into Goa, and you had throngs of people coming in, and there has been a boost to the economic activity as far as tourism is concerned. Tourism, the other sector was mining, and mining was shut, and it's been 10 years, and people, the mining dependent people, of course, have faced, and the ancillary and the auxiliary industries that were a part of the mining belt were also witnessed tremendous hardships. So these were the two main focus areas of economics as far as Goa is concerned. But nobody looks at the other aspects. The farmer segment was very good in Goa. The education segment is very good in Goa. The potential of the IT and the KPO and the BPO segment, which has not yet been tapped, is very, very good in Goa. We have the potential of startups. Goa is the most ideal place to actually have something very similar to the Silicon Valley. And I've been in talks with many of my people in the startup segments to actually come together where we will actually buy a new plot of land to set up a startup city in Goa. And I've spoken to some people in the government as well with the idea. We're trying to put it together. Is the funds a problem to execute whatever I had planned as far as my manifesto is concerned? I don't think that's a problem because we've already done the groundwork that's necessary to further the interest, at least the 13 points I put out on my manifesto. The other aspects of it will be done by the state government. So there's an individual aspect of which I will do for my constituency as an individual, and then there is the aspect of the state and the center. So one of the main things we want to position Veli as is a smart village. So we will do everything possible to ensure that the center works with us to convert Veli into a smart village, which is driven by technology, which is driven by environmental sensitivities, which has a robust intra-constituency transportation system. It has a very robust enterprise going on in the constituency, and it also has healthcare. It also has recreational facilities. It also has tourism facilities. So Goa will pick up, and Goa is going to pick up, but Goa needs, as a state, we need to focus more on industries that allow for us to take forward the skill sets of the people of Goa. So one of the areas that we will be working on is skill development, specific skill developments that are required for the world in the next 30 years. People in Veli who are educated, we want to be able to turn them into AI, robotics experts. We want to make them into people who are getting into genetic research. We want them to get into microbiology. We want them to get into various different aspects that the world is going to require within the next 30 years, with technology being one of the main impetus. So Goa needs to look at the overall aspects of not just tourism, but industry, from a service sector oriented point of view, from an IT point of view, from a farmer point of view, and from any industry that does not necessarily disturb the ecological sensitivities of Goa.
You've stirred my memories from my previous trips to Goa. So you're saying that there is no more mining in Kuduchere?
No, there's no mining in Goa right now.
Oh my. And I also remember driving along the highway, and there was this networking company called D-Link, D space Link.
Yes,
This was
yes.
in the
In
early
Velim.
2000s. And their building was shaped in the form of a cable. Beautiful, bright colors, and it's hard to miss that.
Yes.
I don't know how it is these days. So, in your laundry list of technologies, Savio, I'd like you to consider blockchain, because blockchain, according to me, is one of those foundational technologies. You can think of it as the next generation of internet, where you are going to find blockchain in just about everything. And I'm hoping, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you're going to get elected, and that I'm going to come down. I will definitely come down, whether you like it or not. I'm going to come down, visit you there in Goa, and we can have a cup of coffee, or over dinner we can discuss some of the things that I have in mind, because blockchain as a technology can do a lot of things much more you know efficiently, and with at less cost. But the problem is, how do you lay it out, how do you roll it out in a country of 1.6 billion people? It is difficult to take the new technology and roll it out. However, Goa and Velim, like a single constituency, is an excellent laboratory to try and perform the experiment, tweak it, fine tune it until you get it right, and then you slowly start rolling it out into bigger places. So the smart village concept, I'm very, very in with you, because we have to always remember that Mahatma Gandhi said that India lives in its villages. And especially in a post COVID scenario, we want fresh air, unpolluted air, no crowds. So all those things, you can go back to your village. All you need to do is to find a way to make a living and be comfortable. What more can one ask for? So I think
You,
I'm in with you. So this is just a request. Hopefully you'll consider it, and we can talk about this in the days and weeks to
Shri,
come. Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
a hardcore person driven by technology. My focus will always be enhancement of technology because I believe technology is the way forward. And the more I get people in Goa, people in my constituency to educate themselves in technology, to train and skill develop themselves in technology, we will be creating a workforce that is necessary to cater to the needs of the people within Goa, within India, and the rest of the world. I personally believe that's very important. That is why I'm trying to talk to a school to actually set up a robotics lab in the school so that people start training on technology and AI and various other advancements that technologies will have over the next 5 to 10 years. I'm an entrepreneur. More importantly, I'm a social reformer. I think like a social reformer. I don't think like a politician. My main aim has always been to ensure that people get empowered. And you empower yourself with education. You empower yourself with the education that is necessary for the next 20 to 30 years. Today, a tech person, probably 18, 19 years of age, earns much more money than a person who's 30, 40 years of age because he's
Yeah.
understood the need of technology, whether it's blockchain technology, whether it's augmented reality, whether it's virtual reality, whether it's any of the new technology wonders that's happening around the world. Technology is going to shape the way the world will work in the future. And even though we are a village constituency, technology can never be hidden. It doesn't have to be loud. Technology can also be subtle while you still maintain the necessary aspects of the ecological sensitivities, because you can't destroy our environment. If we destroy the ecological aspects of Valley, the very beauty of Valley is lost.
So, excellent. I wish you all the best. And before we sign off and start looking at some questions, Savio, can you kind of tell our viewers all the different online courses you've been taking? You've done an excellent use of the, stay at home and work time that has been made available to you forcibly, one might say, but you have not been, idle. You've been very, very busy. Perhaps you can walk our viewers through a little bit of what you've been
So,
trying to do over the past 20 months.
well, one of the main things that has been one of my pet project, Shri, is I'm a person who believes that uh, religion is a root cause of conflict in many parts of the world, and
It is one of those things where yeah,
and
you're back. Yeah.
work towards enhancing my education aspects on that. So last year I did an 8 months course with the Harvard University through their online course, which is focusing on religion, conflict, and peace. It was an 8 months course, and right now I'm also pursuing studying the different scriptures of the different religions in the world, again through this online course with Harvard. Incidentally, I was shortlisted to do my further studies in theology and divinity, but I have pushed that shortlist, and I've requested them that maybe I will be able to attend the courses only next year when it starts back in March, because I had to fill my application before January, and then of course I realized that I was going to contest the elections. So I'm doing that because I like to study. I like to enhance my knowledge, and I think right now it's important in the way the world is moving to be able to understand conflicts in various different religions. So that's what I've been doing.
Wonderful. And now let's take some questions for Savio. Let's go ahead and have some questions, please.
Sri, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you. Are you able to hear me? No?
Hello?
I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. So he's not able to hear. You want to log out? Yeah. Okay. So it's one of those things where if there's an incoming call, it disturbs the setup. So Savio is going to log right back in. So we will have our questions. And viewers, this is not often, like I said in the beginning, that one gets to understand a person. Yes, Savio and I've had many conversations in the past. He's back.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Some network issues. My apologies.
Are you able to hear me now?
I can. Can you hear me?
Great. Yes. So Mandar Karnik wants to know, what is the strategy of the BJP for countering the Congress, and will AAP and TMC have any effect in these elections?
Well, two aspects. One is the Aam Aadmi Party has, over the last several years, made considerable inroads as far as Goa is concerned. And they've done it because 5 or 6 of their candidates or workers are fairly decent people who have been respected by society. So they will certainly make an impact. They will see a rise in vote share. But I don't know whether that would be enough for them to win a particular seat. Though some opinion polls are saying that they could, I only see a vote share increase. I don't see a winning of any particular seat, for one. The Trinamool Congress's advantage is the MGP. The MGP is known to win 1 or 2 seats. There is a probability that some of their candidates, the good MGP candidates, could win maybe a seat or 2, and thereby giving TMC an inroad into Goa via the MGP. TMC's own candidate would be somebody like a Churchill Alamau. I'm not sure about a Luisine Filero. Alex Reginald Lawrence, who is a Congress leader, has left the TMC this evening and is likely to rejoin the Congress. So that's another seat gone for them. So I don't see TMC on its own making much of an impact. Their only impact will be with the MGP. And that's how they will probably get 1 or 2 seats, or maximum 3 seats, with probably a Churchill Alamau probably.
Viewers, again, we seem to have some difficulties. Please, he's back.
I'm back.
Yeah, so
can you hear me?
Yeah. So yes. I have a follow-up question before we go to the next question. So Trinamool Congress and Maharashtra Gomantak Party, are they in a coalition, or is there like a merger?
It's an alliance. It's an alliance.
Okay. Well, this looks like there are lots of orphans coming out of Congress, and we have to see where they head, whether they go to TMC or whether they go to AAP, and that's always a toss-up. Unfortunately, this is all Congress's loss, and we have to take it the way it is. Next question, please. Let us know if you have to go, Savio, because you...
No, I don't have to go. Okay. It's just that some calls keep coming.
Dennis Fernandez wants to know, my question to Savio, will he take on the party if it forces wrong decisions on Goans? Will he stand against all... Will he stand against all social evils in Goan society like casinos, drugs, or keep silent and listen to party diktat?
Okay, for people who don't know me and people who know me, the answer is that as far as anything doesn't work in the interest of Goa, I will raise the issues as far as the party is concerned. And the party knows that I am a kind of person that will raise these kind of issues because issues that I don't agree with, I don't agree with. It's as simple as that. So I'm not going to say anything right now. When the time matters and when the time comes, when it's necessary for me to put my foot down, I will put my foot down because I rather walk the talk than just talk the talk.
Next question, please. Kuldeep Wani wants to know, Savio, none of the parties are talking about the demographic change happening in South Goa by a particular community, illegal settlements happening by bribing municipality. What is your stand on this?
Well, I think it's very important for us to look at the illegal encroachments happening in Goa. There not many people are talking about it, but yes, there has been a slight influx of Bangladeshi migrants in Goa. I believe the police and the government are aware of it. It is important for us to impress upon them to take action against those illegal immigrants that are here and deal with the crisis that could escalate if we don't deal with the matter right now. So yes, I do agree that there are certain pockets where certain illegal immigrants from Bangladesh have penetrated, and it needs to be dealt with. It doesn't seem like a large number right now, but before it becomes into a large number, it's essential that we nip it in the bud.
AIMS IBS Business School, ATMA College. How about reviving tourism sector, especially law and order by reining in police department, which harasses tourists?
Well, I think well, there are two aspects to it. There are certain incidents where the police has behaved undemocratically and unpolice-like, and there have been many instances where the police have acted very, very intelligently and in lieu of the fact that they are police. So you're going to get bad apples. Not everyone in the Goa police is bad. I think we need to encourage them to do good work. I think police reforms are also very essential, not only in Goa but across India. And we need to encourage them because let's be honest, not all of them are corrupt. There are some who are very committed policemen, and we need to work with them to ensure that their policing methods and their sensitivities towards tourists and the locals continue to remain in the interest of every stakeholder in society. So let's encourage them. The bad apples can be dealt with.
Next question, please. Fotidar, I have noticed that Mr. Parikar had initiated some of the best practices which are not even taught after 30 years in the rest of India. I'm talking about the workers' registration cards. I don't know what the question is here. I think it's more of an observation. Perhaps you can build on some of your vision towards something like this.
Well, Mr. Parikar himself was a visionary, Shri, and the people who are listening to me, I think he was very, very way ahead of his time. Uh, Goa needed him to continue for another 5 to 10 years, and there would be a lot of changes that would have happened in Goa. Unfortunately, he's not with us, and I'm left with the responsibility as somebody who looked up to him and was inspired by him to take forward his vision. So I'm going to do everything that I can using what he has already done. Our limited interactions allow me to think how he thought, and also use some of the intelligence that I have to try and see how best we can take Goa forward, starting with the Velim constituency.
Wonderful. Me Ferns wants to know, sir, would you also speak to the parish priest and brief them about your vision, since they have a major influence on forming people's decisions as to whom to vote?
I'm not only going to speak to the parish priests, but I'm also going to speak to all the bishops and the archbishops that are there and influence Goa as a as an institution. You see, it's important because the most important aspect is I don't want somebody to vote for me because I'm a Christian. I don't want somebody to vote for me because I support the Hindus or I support the Muslims. I want people to vote for me because I have a vision. And together with them, with my people, we can actually take that vision forward because it cannot be done on my own. It has to be done collectively. So if you're going to vote for me with a religious blinker in your eye, then my request to you is please don't vote for me because I'm not a religious. I'm a man of faith, yes. I profess my faith. I will defend my faith, and I will even point out the wrongs in my faith. I will defend the faith of my Hindu and Muslim brothers and sisters as well. But what I will defend and fight for with all my heart is the fact that we are all citizens of India. And that to me is first. And most importantly, we are all humans. So if you look at me with those eyes, then we can work together to change Velim. If you want to look at me with a religious prism, I don't think I can work with you because I'm not that kind of a person.
Sergio, we still have a few more questions, and I'm going to tell until you say, okay, I have to go, because I also see
Sure.
that you have been probably talking all day. You need to rest your vocal cords. Sachin
Yes.
Sharma wants to know, in the last election, MGP did an alliance with Shiv Sena. They lost their deposit. Do you really think MGP will make any impact this time around?
Well, MGP won 3 seats in the last elections in 2017. They won 3 seats. It's a different matter that two of them, 2/3 of the majority, merged into the BJP. The legislative wing of the MGP merged into the BJP. MGP is really is controlled by two people, which is Sudin and Deepak. And in most cases, it's the constituencies where they have a control on. They will do well in those constituencies. Whether now that they don't have the BJP, whether that will have an impact is left for us to see on March 10th. But you have people like even Jeet Arlolkar, who's doing fairly decent, making a good inroad. But I don't know whether they can go beyond their 2 and 3 seats. They're not a political party. They were a political party that was the cream of Goa many years ago, decades ago. They no longer are that. They at best are people who win 1 or 2 seats and will continue to align with people based on the benefits that accrue to them.
Well, I'm just going through my mental checklist. Articulation, tick. Honesty, tick. Intellectual, tick. Sincerity, tick. My friend, my vote goes to you. I wish you all the best. However, my vote doesn't matter because you're not competing in contesting in San Jose. So I wish you all the best. And viewers, do like, share, and subscribe to this program, especially this one. I would like you to share because it's not often that we come across an intellectual with a vision. And this is, see, the earnestness that Savio has comes through in his speeches. And it's not the first time you've heard him also. Once again, all the best, Savio. Namaskar.
Shreem, if I do say something.
Please, go ahead.
It's very strange, and I want to share it with the viewers of P Gurus. My father made a promise to his mother many years ago that he would come back to the Velim constituency and build our ancestral home. In 2016, he did that. When my home was created, my mother asked me, son, you have to come back to Velim and do something about it, do something for our people. Never did I imagine that I would have been asked to contest, or I was given a choice between 3 constituencies, and I asked them, can I take Velim constituency? And they asked me why. I said, because my ancestors come from there. It's my mother's dream that I come back to Velim and do something for the people. And that's exactly what I see happening. Me coming back to Velim is me coming back and reclaiming what is mine. Reclaiming my people's faith, my people's trust. And like I told the workers, my BJP Karyakartas, if you trust me with your fears, I will repay it with hope through actions that will transform Velim as a constituency.
And that's a wonderful way to end this conversation. Viewers, I do want you to follow Savio because he is putting out a lot of these golden nuggets. I've been looking at his Twitter timeline. Wonderful, bro. All the best. And again, namaskar.
Thank you. I'm humbled. Thank you, Shri.